Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm 22 weeks pregnant and this is my first time around. I'm a new mom. In this video, I really wanted to talk about basically every symptom I've experienced so far in my 22 weeks. I can't say that I've enjoyed all 22 of these weeks, but it's certainly gotten better, probably around like week 16. I'm also going to insert a little timestamp page of all of the different symptoms, so if you're like just curious about one or two of them, you can just click to those specific ones. So yeah, I will put that in right now. And pardon me, I'm a little under the weather, so got my tea here. If I'm coughing, I have something to help a little bit. Fun fact, I have been making so much tea out of just like the straight 100% cranberry juice concentrate from Aldi that doesn't have any added sugar or anything, and I've really been loving that. So practical tip for cheap tea. I'm gonna cover like a lot of symptoms. I've run the gamut. I've experienced like everything so far. So nausea, the vomiting, headaches, tailbone pain, insomnia. I was preliminarily diagnosed with hypothyroidism, so I can talk more about that. Appetite decreases and increases. Thirst, weight gain, when baby started moving for the first time, foods I've loved, foods I've hated. We're gonna talk about it all. I'm gonna spill all the tea. Spill all the tea. I'm such a dork. Okay. I have really enjoyed watching these like pregnancy symptom videos so far, so that's kind of why I wanted to do this. Or if even just like one person sees it and it maybe just kind of inspires you to just push through the last, you know, the hard days, that's my hope. And also just for me to be able to look back at, you know, after my pregnancy, I'm very sentimental, so I want to be able to look back and like sort of journal style see everything that I've been through to welcome this little baby into the world. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is the nausea, probably because it's the most awful, most common, maybe, I don't know if it's most common. Almost every pregnant woman I've ever talked to, including my mom, and my mom is one of 5 sisters, and everybody in my family has experienced nausea to some degree. For some it was worse than others. Like my mom, it was really awful. She was nauseous every single day of her entire pregnancy, throwing up every single day, the whole way through, not just the first trimester, like the whole way. So for me, I experienced nausea from weeks 5, so basically the week after I found out I was pregnant. So like the week after I missed my period, it kind of really set in really fast, all the way up until week 17. So for me, it wasn't just the first trimester, it definitely went on. And even now at 22 weeks, I'll still sometimes get a little wave here and there if I've waited too long to eat. That's a perfect segue into preventing nausea and stopping nausea. Basically, the key is to always be eating constantly, even when you don't want to. If this is your first pregnancy and you're just like wondering how to get through it, I remember for the first several weeks of the nausea, I didn't understand that I had to be constantly eating. I mean, if I woke up in the middle of the night, which frequently happened, I needed to eat something. If I knew that I was gonna be out and about for like longer than a couple hours, longer than an hour, honestly, I needed to bring snacks. So the key is just to constantly be eating, and things might not sound very good. So just eat what your body wants you to eat. But for me, the things that really helped were like seltzer water. The carbonation really helped to, I don't know, something about it just really helped my like throat. And then also the classic saltine, it kind of gets a bad rep. I don't know, you know, because it's not nutritious. Like there's nothing good about saltines except it's just flour and salt. But it did help me, especially in the middle of the night. Just like a couple of saltines would help. The other thing, eating lots of fresh produce if you can stomach it. So for some reason, radishes sounded really good to me, as well as like carrots. So like root vegetables, celery, not a root vegetable, but also celery, like those kinds of things really, really helped me. And a lot of other things. We'll talk more about the foods I've loved, foods I've hated at the end of the video, but for now I want to just continue talking about the symptoms. So that's nausea. Just hang in there, it's gonna be okay. As far as vomiting, I had weeks where I would throw up every single day. I'd have weeks where I would throw up maybe 3 times that week. So it really just depended. There was no rhyme or reason. Like 9 weeks was one of my really bad weeks, and then 15 weeks was also one of my really bad weeks, which was, like, why would that, there was no correlation. It was just like more awful at other times. What I would do when I knew I was gonna throw up, basically it would be in the morning for me. And when you wake up, it's been a long time since you've eaten, so you need to eat something, but your stomach is like not ready for it yet or something, but you have to eat. So I basically would go into eating this thing first thing in the morning, knowing that I was gonna throw it up. So choose what you're gonna eat first wisely. That's why saltines weren't bad, produce wasn't bad, and then just a lot of water. Just drink water, because believe me, throwing up water is a lot better than throwing up like stomach bile. Might be a little TMI, but definitely heads up there. When I was throwing up all the time, even in the, early stages, I mean, I was 9 or 10 weeks throwing up constantly, and I started to like wet my pants every time I would throw up. It was awful. Just like a little pee would shoot out. Sorry if this is again TMI, but it's so annoying as a pregnant woman. Something that I did was when I knew I was gonna throw up, I would just take my pants off and then just like throw up into the toilet, and then we had a tile floor, so if any pee shot out, then I would just like clean it up. Just take your pants off if you know you're gonna throw up. And now the same thing is happening with my, like, I've got a sore throat and I'll like cough or sneeze and like a little pee will shoot out. It's so annoying and so embarrassing and just like so frustrating. Just, take that as you will. I vomited all the way up until 17 weeks, but then it flipped a switch and it stopped, and I haven't thrown up since. And it's been 5 weeks now. So I don't know what happened, but one day I woke up and I didn't throw up. I was fine. But if you are one of those women who is like constantly sick the whole way through, I'm so sorry. Like, really sorry about that. Okay, moving on to headaches. I still get headaches, and I've been doing tons of research on this, and I think I know now why I've been getting the headaches. I had my blood work done at week 17 just because that was that was actually my first prenatal appointment, so I can talk more about that in a different video. But I had my first actual pregnancy blood work done at week 17, and I was low in iron. My hemoglobin was at a 10.9. So in pregnancy, obviously, as you probably know, our blood volumes go up 50%. Your body is needing to produce way more blood, and at any given time, a lot of your blood is going to your baby. So you need a lot more iron. And my prenatal has like 30 milligrams of iron in it, but I still don't think that's enough for me because my iron levels are still low. So I've decided to supplement with iron, and I think that'll help with the headaches because as I build my blood, I'll have more oxygen flowing to my brain. Hopefully is the goal with more blood. So I'm gonna see if that helps. I just started supplementing with iron this week, and I'm gonna update at my next blood work, which will be at the 3rd trimester mark, sort of like where I'm at because I'm really curious to see how that will help with the headaches. If you're averse to taking Tylenol like me, because I don't want to take anything medicinal, I don't know why. My midwife actually recommended to do a hot pack on your feet and something cold on your head, and then peppermint oil on your temples. I haven't tried all of that. I have done the cold on my forehead, which is pretty obvious, and that has helped me a lot. But also just staying really hydrated, but I'm really thinking it's the iron for me. And also for the headaches, for me, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but for me, the headaches were really heat induced. So anytime I would take a warm shower, just warm, not even hot, or like open the hot oven, it would really make my forehead just like pulse. Like my headaches are always right here in my forehead. This is new to pregnancy. I've never been one to have like chronic headaches or anything. So again, I don't know if, I was always curious to hear like, what are people's headaches and symptoms? Those were mine. Weeks 4 to about 8, I experienced tailbone pain, and this was something that I actually, before I even knew I was pregnant, so I guess it was before 4 weeks, I was having tailbone pain, and I legit thought that I had fallen down or something because I was like, why is my tailbone hurting so bad? And then I talked to my friend Roxy, who's a doula, And she said that that is one of the most common things that like women first notice, but I'd never heard that symptom before. And it's true. Your pelvis is like completely shifting, your bones are moving even at this early stage. So I had like severe tailbone pain. Like I couldn't really even lay on my back because it hurt so bad, or like sitting down was painful. So I'm curious to know if anybody else has experienced this. For me, it just sort of passed with time. And I still have twinges of it, and I've been thinking about going to a chiropractor to just make sure everything is like adjusted. Tailbone pain. Who knew? I've been talking for a while and I still have a really long list, so I'm gonna have to go a little faster. The next symptom that I've experienced is really sore boobs. So since conception, I mean, that was another symptom like before pregnancy that I felt, I was like, oh, this is even worse than just PMS, sore boobs. So, and I'm 22 weeks now, and even now I still kind of feel that they're tender sometimes. They've grown, so in addition to sore boobs, my boobs have grown a ton, and I've actually gotten stretch marks on my boobs. I haven't had any stretch marks, thankfully, knock on wood, yet on my stomach, but on my boobs I have. And even though I've been like majorly oiling up, lotioning up to prevent stretch marks, I've still had that happen, which isn't great, but like I can live with it. Like they're not terrible. Along the same vein, stretch marks. Like I said, I haven't had any on my stomach yet. My mom had terrible, terrible stretch marks, and just stretching of her stomach skin in general, so I'm kind of thinking like that's in the cards for me. The prevention that I'm doing is just staying super, super hydrated, so I drink tons of water, and I use grapeseed oil, just straight up grapeseed oil from, like I got a big bottle of it from Walmart. I don't know if anybody watches Mrs. Midwest. I really enjoy her videos, like on femininity and stuff, and she recommended this. I've been doing that, but it's making all of my pajamas smell terribly because I shower at night, grapeseed oil, put on my pajamas, and now all my clothes smell like Play-Doh or something. But it does keep my skin really well moisturized. So I've been doing grapeseed oil and then like the heavy duty Nivea cream. I just really love the smell of it. It's like really nostalgic for me. When I run out of the grapeseed oil, I think I might have to transition to something else that's a little less, it doesn't smell when you're putting it on, but for whatever reason, it's like staining this smell into all of my pajamas and clothes, which isn't fun. Next is hormonal acne. Now, I've always had hormonal acne. Basically, since I was like 12 or 13 years old, I started getting like cystic acne. And even as a teenager, like I went on Accutane. Now, as an adult, I would have occasional hormonal acne along my chin, like you can see it very obviously. But pregnancy has definitely made it worse. I don't know what else to do except for the fact that like my hormones are raging, and I eat quite healthily, and I just drink tons of water. I sleep the best that I can. So I'm hoping that one day I'll figure it out and I'll get to make like this, oh, how I like cured my hormonal acne video. We'll see on that. But so far, not much improvement. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I was like sort of diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and I know that other people are curious about this because I tried Googling it and I found a couple videos, but like not tons of information. So I wanted to share my experience with this. At 17 weeks, I had my blood work done, and my TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone, was at a 3.24. I don't know what the units of measurement are, but the upper limits for TSH in pregnant women are a bit contentious. I've done lots of research. Man, talking with a sore throat is getting progressively harder, so I'm gonna try and wrap this up soon. I still have a lot to talk about though, so we'll see. So like I said, my TSH was at a 3.24, and my midwife doesn't want it to be above a 2.5, which is what the American Thyroid Association recommends during pregnancy. But I've read very conflicting research about that upper limit, and I wasn't convinced enough that my thyroid levels were so out of whack that I needed to go on the levothyroxine, hormone supplement to regulate my thyroid. And again, I'm not a doctor, like this is just the research that I've done as a layperson. Another thing that I noticed about as I was researching thyroid issues during pregnancy is that your baby relies on your thyroid hormone production for the first half of pregnancy, but then after that, they're making their own thyroid hormones at that point. So For me, at 17 weeks, she didn't even tell me till 18 weeks. By the time the hormone treatment like arrived at my pharmacy, I was like 19 and a half weeks. So for me, I just I didn't feel totally comfortable. I know that it's a totally safe thing to do during pregnancy, and if that's what you've chosen to do, totally, no worries. But for me, I'm gonna just wait it out until my 3rd trimester blood work and see like what my TSH levels are then. And also in the meantime, I'm starting to really up my intake of vitamin D, because that has been known to help regulate the thyroid, as well as, again, I think my iron was low. So increasing my iron and my vitamin D, I think will help. So we'll see. I'll update probably in the future on that. Next is insomnia and just having like a crazy whacked out sleep schedule. I've always been more of a night owl than a morning person, so I just haven't been sleeping very well. Like, I'll sleep for like a couple hours. When I finally fall asleep, it's maybe 2 a.m. And sometimes I might fall asleep earlier, but usually it's around like 2, 3 a.m. And then I most definitely wake up at like 4 or 5 because I have to pee, because my baby's pushing on my bladder. Even in the 2nd trimester, this has been happening basically the whole pregnancy. I wake up probably at least once a night to have to pee. So my sleep is just like totally messed up, but as long as I'm getting enough, I don't really care the hours that I'm sleeping. Like if I wake up at noon, sure, it's kind of depressing because it's November now and like I know the sun's gonna go down in a few hours, but I'd rather just get enough sleep for like me and my baby. So no shame in the sleeping game. You gotta rest as a pregnant person. Like, thankfully I'm not working right now. I'm just being pregnant, which is a big job in itself. But if you have to work on top of that, just, oh, my heart goes out to you. Get as much rest as you possibly can. Next, once the nausea for me finally abated around week 17, I got my appetite back and I was like really hungry. So for the last 5-ish weeks, I'm like really hungry a lot of the time, which is interesting because for so long I was so nauseous and it was awful. And then you finally get to the other side of that and you're like, how did I do that? How was I nauseous and throwing up basically every day for like 4 months? It was so bad. So the appetite increase is actually nice. I've been enjoying that. But that also is leading to pregnancy weight gain. I don't really think about it. I will weigh myself maybe once a week just to sort of check in and see where I'm at. I think so far in this pregnancy I've gained 20-ish pounds and I'm 22 weeks. So that's been like a pound a week, since the get-go. My midwife hasn't said anything about it, so I assume I'm okay. I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up gaining like 40 pounds, like total, at the end of this when it was all said and done. And I'm not worried about that. My mom gained a ton of weight and she's a tiny person, so she is fine. And all of the women in my family really just like a good bounce back record. I'm not very concerned about it though, because I know that pregnancy I'm making another human, so I'm not really hung up on the whole gaining weight thing. Okay, let's talk about thirst. In the middle of the night, I wake up super thirsty. Like, I need to drink water all the time. I don't know if other pregnant women are experiencing this for whatever reason. I mean, I know our blood is crazily going up and we're like nourishing a whole human, so like, that's probably it. But I'm super thirsty. I don't know if other women are also experiencing that. As far as the belly goes, I will probably insert a little belly glimpse. I began to show slightly around week 13, like it sort of just like popped out, which was really exciting and really fun. And I definitely noticed like a little pooch there, like a little, baby pooch. And since then, I just like feel like I keep growing like a lot, like every week. So week 20, it really sort of like I was really preggo, and now at 22 weeks, like I'm still feeling pretty preggo, but like also not really. Like I'm sort of surprised because I'll look in the mirror and I'll like hold my shirt to my tummy and I look legitimately pregnant. Other times, like right now, I'm sitting here and I don't really feel very pregnant at all. So that's the belly. The baby started to move. I think I was feeling little twinges at week 15, but I wasn't totally sure. But then week 16, definitely I was feeling little things, little flutters, which is how everybody describes it. And it's just gotten stronger and stronger until now, at week 20 actually, I could if I was laying really still and the baby was really active, I would just see little, like a little pop, like a little flutter of my stomach would just like do a little flutter. So that was really exciting. I love feeling this little baby move. That's probably like my favorite part of pregnancy so far. Caleb, who is my husband, felt the baby move at 20 weeks as well. Even though he's only felt like little tiny pops, which is frustrating because every time I tell him, oh my gosh, like the baby's so active, like you have to feel, the baby will stop. So I don't know, but I'm sure as I continue to grow, as this little baby continues to grow, he'll feel the baby more. So, and also along that line, man, I'm starting to sound like a smoker. Like, this is awful. I haven't talked this much in a few days, but I promised myself I would do this because I don't want to look back and not have done this. But a few more symptoms. And this is an interesting one. I've had like sore hips while sleeping for the last several weeks now, and I don't know if other pregnant women can relate, but I sleep with a pillow between my legs, like between my knees, and that helps, you know, keep things like balanced and everything. And I sort of wedge myself in, like I have a pillow behind my back, I hold on to a pillow, I've got a couple on my head. I'm very propped up. So sore hips, I don't know, it's definitely getting progressively a little worse, and I think my maybe like ligaments are just sort of shifting around. Also, another thing that I think it is that you know, when you're sleeping, I shouldn't lay on my back anymore because I'm after that 20-week mark, so I don't really sleep on my back, but then you're limited to just two positions, like one side or the other side, and so it's a little bit frustrating. Another symptom very quickly noticed was very strong nails. Like my nails were really great. I can't say that my hair has really improved. It feels basically the same, but my nails have gotten so strong since starting probably my prenatal vitamin, I would assume. And finally, I think the last symptom that I've experienced is a sensitivity to smells. Very common in pregnancy, but the ones that I've been very sensitive to are cat litter. We have a kitty. Also, Caleb, if he doesn't shower, like the smell of like dirty body. Not that he doesn't smell like this all the time, but like if he goes an extra half a day without showering, my pregnant nose can tell. So I think it's time to talk about foods that I've liked and foods that I've hated. Foods that I've really enjoyed. Fun fact, I was a vegetarian for 3 years before becoming pregnant. Like I hadn't had meat in 3 years, no fish, nothing. I had had eggs and I'd had dairy, so I wasn't a vegan, but I hadn't had any meat. And then when I got pregnant, I don't know that it was like a craving, but for whatever reason, my body just seemed to want meat. So bacon has been like something that I've really wanted during pregnancy, and I did end up actually eating meat. So I've started eating meat again after 3 years of vegetarianism. That has been interesting. Red meat is really nice. Like I really like meatballs and like other things with just like ground beef in them. My probably biggest like morning food to help with morning sickness when I was really nauseous, like the first thing I would eat a lot of days was a bagel with cream cheese, and I still do that. So a bagel with cream cheese is really lovely. When I was early pregnant, I mean right away, so maybe like as soon as I started getting nauseous until like weeks 10, 11, 12, I would really want McDonald's French fries and a giant crispy McDonald's Sprite. Like that just like ticked all the boxes for me and made me feel so much better. And like I said sort of earlier about the nausea thing, anything crunchy vegetable, radish, carrot, celery, broccoli, cucumber, delicious. Also fresh fruit. I've had a ton of oranges and apples, so that is like always in the fridge. I have like an orange a day, an apple a day, definitely lots of carrots every day. That's sort of just like my snacky stuff. Again, another early prego one was ramen noodles. Not the healthiest, but like it would get me through. The salty broth and the noodles was something that I was able to stomach. So thankfully that phase didn't last very long because I don't want to be eating, like I've really eaten quite healthily, but those were some things that just got me through. I actually wrote down week 13, bacon, sausage, breakfast potatoes. There was like a week that I ate bacon, sausage, and like fried potatoes every single day because it sounded so good. So that's funny. Foods I did not want. I did not want eggs at the beginning of pregnancy. Couldn't stand them. I hated eggs. I finally started eating them again at week 20. So I'm eating eggs again. And they've actually been sounding really good, but like right at the beginning and for that long time, like eggs I was repulsed by. Same thing with tomatoes. I was absolutely repulsed by tomatoes and I love tomatoes. I love eggs. Like this was so strange. Absolutely repulsed by tomatoes. So I didn't eat tomatoes or eggs for like 4 months of my life. And now I'm back to eating them and it's delicious. Another thing I didn't want was cheese. I am like the cheese queen. I love cheese. My mom called me the cheese queen. I love cheese. So that was really strange for me. Again, now maybe around week 18, I started dipping my fingers back into the cheese. I really love like the specialty yummy cheeses from Aldi. So that has been like a thing. So another thing that I really like is like charcuterie, like having some nuts, some cheese, some olives, a little fruit, some carrots. Like that's like my midnight snack. And then finally, I love coffee, like most people. But when I was first pregnant, I did not want coffee. I couldn't. That nauseated me too. So I didn't have coffee all the way up until a couple days ago. And I finally had a cup of coffee again. So I'm starting to have my 1 cup a day in the morning. It helps me feel more normal. Maybe it will help with the headaches and with my sleep schedule. We'll see about that. So yeah, I think that is everything that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure I forgot some things, but again, this was just sort of like a video documentary of my first half of pregnancy, kind of just like halfway through my pregnancy update. And yeah, so I want to do more videos. So I want to do us finding out the gender. I want to do how we told our family plus how we found out. And then I also want to do sort of like pregnancy supplements and things that I've been taking to help, because I've actually started taking a lot of supplements like vitamins and things to help me feel better. So thank you so much for watching. If you're all the way here, this is a crazy long video, and hopefully I will see you soon in another video. Thank you so much.